Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head and D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Back in the sound room, you know who's back there. It's TK and Heavy D. We're going to be talking to those guys here in just a little bit. And Ken, we're in the middle of the spring sports season, but a lot of news this week about kids signing at local area colleges, some basketball news, coaches being announced. You and I, though, we're gonna let TK handle all that news at the end of the show. We'll stick to what we know best, and of course, that is baseball, track and field. We're going to talk a little bit of that tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, Craig. Really looking forward to giving our listeners out there great interviews tonight, Craig. We're going to start off with Dean Stewart. He's the head coach of the Anna Boys track team, Craig. He's a veteran coach. He's got some state championships under his belt. He's a defending champion in the Shelby County League, the district champion. A little different for Coach Stewart this year, Craig. Didn't realize it till just recently. He moved up to Division II, which is going to be a big challenge for him. So we're going to hear what he has to say about some of those challenges coming up for himself and his team as well, Craig. Really looking forward to talking to the head coach of the Russia Raider baseball team. That's Coach Kevin Phlipot. Coach Phlipot is in his second season with the Raiders. Had an outstanding year last year, Craig. Went 23-7, got the Raiders a district championship into the regional semifinals last year, and looking forward to what he has to say about his team, Craig, and the start that his team is off to.
All right, can't wait to get to all that. But speaking of baseball and speaking of coaches, tonight's poll question has to do with baseball and some good coaches.
Yes, it does, Craig. Some of the best coaches in the state of Ohio, Craig, when it comes to high school baseball, Craig, are right here in our backyard. We've had some of these guys on our show before. And for our listeners out there, which of these longtime area baseball coaches do you find is the hardest to defeat? Is it the head coach of the Redskins in Fort Lorain, Coach Bill Sturwald, head coach of the Coldwater Cavaliers, Brian Harlemer, Dave King of the Lehman Cavaliers, or Mike Wiss, the Minster Wildcat coach? A lot of state championships between them coaches there, Craig. Who do you feel is the hardest to beat?
All right, good poll question tonight. And if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, answer that poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco or GameFace Ohio, TK will have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started, and going to talk a little track starting out. The season is well underway. The warm weather's finally here, so you know what that means. Times are coming down, and in some cases, records are even being broken, and we saw that last week at the Minster Memorial, didn't we?
Yes, we did, Craig. Not only are times coming down, Craig, but the distances and the length that people are throwing and jumping is actually going up, and it was shown perfectly last week at the Minster Memorial Invitational. Craig, some of the records that were broken in the long jump, Olivia Quinter from Fort Lorain, she long jumped 17 feet 1 inch, Craig. Interestingly enough, Olivia's mom is actually the Fort Lorain current record holder, Craig, at 17.6. So we'll see if Olivia can actually get that record here as the season goes on. Next for sales is Jenna Frantz. She finished state runner-up last year in the pole vault in Division II. She broke the record there at 11 feet 9 inches. Spencerville's Calvin Wilson broke the 100-meter dash, Craig. He ran a 10.9. What's interesting about that is he actually did that in qualifying. He ran 11.7 for a third-place finish, so he broke the meet record in the qualifying race. For Sales girls 4x2, new meet record at 146. Last but not least, Craig, South Adams Jr. Bailey McIntyre set a meet record in the 3200, breaking the record previously held by a pretty good runner, Craig, that is now running at the University of Oregon, and Versailles is Sam Prakel.
Yeah, fun to watch all those records being broke. Was there last week to see some of that. And one guy that knows a little bit about record breaking is our next guest, and that's because he has a record breaking pole vaulter over there. He's the head coach of the Anna Rockets, Dean Stewart. Happy to have him live on the phone right now. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. You know that.
All right, well, listen, last week we were talking, kind of giving you a little bit of a hard time, Coach, with that Anna Invitational being canceled on account of the weather. And I told Ken, you got an all-weather track over there in Anna, so why couldn't we run on that in all kinds of weather?
It's always tough when you make those decisions, and, people always joke about it being an all-weather track. But, we talked to we actually sent things out to all the coaches and got input on that, and you guys have gone to a lot of meetings. It's no fun for kids or for coaches or parents to sit out there for 6 hours in what would have been horrible weather.
Yeah, it certainly was a nasty Saturday, and with all that snow, I'm glad you made the decision to cancel that. That was the good choice there. But hey, listen, Coach, you're the defending county champ. You're the defending district champ from last year. You finished runner-up at the regional last year, finished fourth at state. All that postseason stuff that you did, though, was in Division III last year. This year, you make the jump to Division II. I'd like to know, has that created a lot of work or a lot of worry for you having to watch teams maybe that you haven't been familiar with before?
Not really. I did, start looking at, and some of our kids have already looked at what is at Graham for the boys, and we have to look ahead to what's at Lexington, and it's definitely going to be a lot tougher, especially in the sprints. I saw some kid from that we'll see at Lexington. He's already run 10.56 in the 100 meters already.
Wow.
So, we'll look more closely at what it's going to take to get out of districts and maybe possibly make it down to state when we get closer. But what's really we're worried about is that district and regional weekend, because even though, we have a separate boys and girls coach, we coach together, so there'll be 4 days in a row for districts. We'll be going to Milton Union, then to Graham, and then regionals will have to go to Troy and then to Lexington, which is over 2 hours away.
Wow.
Well, Coach, looks like you got some challenges ahead of you for the postseason. This is Ken. A couple questions for you here. You graduated some really good seniors last year. Several of them went to state. Like we talked about, you had a very successful year last year. Let's look at this year's team. Who is looking good for you this year, and who do you count on for a lot of points at the county level as well as the district in the postseason?
Well, like you said, I think this was the first year I really felt like when we started the season and got some early meets how much I lost. In past years, it seemed like we were able to just fill in with kids lost, but it's been a lot tougher this year. But we do have Logan Kuntz, who won the pole vault in Division III last year back, and he should have a legitimate shot at winning D2 because actually the only vaulters coming back that were better than him or have a chance of beating him would have been Division III. So he should be still strong and have a chance of defending a state title. Well, not defending, but getting a new one. Blake Stevens, he'll be just as strong in the high jump. He was third last year. Those two, I think, have really good shots of making back to state. Then after that, probably this year, our next strong group is our distance runners. Lucas Huber and Brad Axe have started the season really well. Both of them ran really great times for the 3,200 meter on Friday at Columbus Grove. And then senior Connor Riot, he's having a good year, and we've had to use him a lot, put him on 3 relays and run open events, so he's running 4 events and trying to pull together the younger kids, because we have a lot of sophomores now that we have to fill into those 100, 200, 400, and the relays. We have Nathan Osborne back, who threw in the 140-something last year in the discus, and he's in 130s this year, so he's having a good year. And then we have just 3 surprises among sophomores. That's Dylan Berner, Austin Fote, and Tyler Shiflett. But it's going to, I think this year at the county, Russia has a very, very good team. And Fort Loramie is really strong in some events. And so I think it's going to be a lot closer than it's probably been in a long time as far as, and with us not necessarily being the favorites.
Coach, let's look a little bit about what you've got coming up this Friday night. It's the Redskin Relays, not the Loamy Redskins, but the Wapak Redskin Relay. Not your traditional track meet. They don't run races quite like what we're accustomed to seeing and what you're going to see in the postseason. Do you like this type of meet for something in the middle of the year to kind of break up things for your athletes?
Yeah, it's one of those meets that we really look forward to because it's fun, it's different. Wapak has great facility. The atmosphere there is really neat. I think relay formats really you need to have a pretty big team, which we do have. Now, with our girls going up there this year, there's a couple events we're probably not going to be able to fill because we just don't have enough girls to cover all the events. But they still enjoy it because it's different. And some girls who normally don't get to run because you usually only have 2 per event get a chance, like in the pole vault and the high jump and the long jump, because you put 3-person relays together. So it's more just a fun thing. It comes about in the middle of the season till you head in, about the next 3 weeks you start wanting to bring things together before county. So it's kind of a nice breakup in the season.
All right, Coach. Hey, listen, one more question before we let you go. And as many of our viewers may or may not know out there, of course, you're a longtime coach and teacher over there at Anna, but you're also a longtime resident of Russia over here. And we're used to seeing you out and about, running the streets and always training for something, but haven't seen you here recently. So I guess I wanted to ask you, are you training for anything coming up that maybe this spring?
Not this spring. I've already signed up for the Columbus Marathon again, so I've been, I pretty much just keep training for whatever comes up. I didn't race much last year during the summer, but this year I plan on doing a lot more racing. I think I'm looking at maybe starting at the Lou Cox run on Memorial Day. I ran that a couple years ago and really enjoyed it. But I've been starting my morning runs again because of coaching. So
you must be getting up before I'm up then. Awful
yeah,
work.
I remember I used to see you a few years back. We passed each other at 5 in the morning.
We used to see each other quite a bit, Coach, but not so much anymore.
That's a little early for me.
Well, what's amazing is there's still I see about 6 out. I see TK sometimes. We pass each other, and there's like 6 or 7 people out in the morning. 5 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a popular popular walking, jogging town in Russia. I agree with that, Coach. Well, listen, we appreciate you getting on our show tonight with us. Good luck this weekend. Good luck to your Rockets in the postseason. You've done a great job over there on Anna, and appreciate everything you also do for the community of Rushi. And, thanks for everything, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was the head coach of the Anna Rockets, Dean Stewart. And one question I wanted to ask him, I forgot to. I mentioned him being a teacher over there at Anna. I guess I wanted to know if he was is he the art teacher maybe by any chance over there?
He is, yeah. He's the art teacher.
I was at the Pickle. I don't usually get to the Pickle Mall, but I was at the Pickle Mall this past week, of all things, they had an art show going on there. And I saw the Anna students had some display set up, and it said the teacher was D. Stewart from Anna. I only know one D. Stewart. I figured it had to be him, but my wife was telling me she thought he was the history teacher over there. But
he's the art teacher, running coach, art teacher. He does a lot over there. Good guy.
Well, he's got some good artists over there, that's for sure.
And some good runners.
He does have some good runners as well. And that's going to do it for the first half of our show. We're going to take a short break, but stay right there when we come back. We're going to talk some baseball, including that big interview with Rushi coach Kevin Phlipot.
Stage at the leaving van. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. A teacher cat and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, looking for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
Welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, Ken, we were talking some track and field, going to talk a little bit baseball, but before we do that, want to go back to the sound room for our weekly segment with Heavy D. He's been telling us about shows that Fish Report has either tied or passed up. We're on episode number 154 tonight, Heavy D. So tell us this week, what show have we either tied or passed up?
I've got a real Jim Dandy for you here, guys. The show was from the early 60s called Hazel.
Hazel.
Slapstick comedy about a maid that took no crap from the family. I want to tell you what, Fish. The show ran a long time, and I think it had a lot to do with the maid. I can see our show, if we don't get a maid on staff here, we're going to suffer. I don't think
we could probably use a maid. We could probably use a maid around here. It gets a little dirty.
Yeah, we could. And could help out clean the entertainment room, the facilities, and everything.
We had to get our own drinks. We got to get our own cashews. And TK hasn't laundered that shirt in about 3 years.
Well, from the looks of it, I don't think Hazel's available because that show ended in 1966.
That was 50 years ago.
She looks like she's about 66 in that picture.
So she's about 110 right now.
Fun fact, the actress that played Hazel was born in 1898.
Oh my, she definitely isn't around then, huh?
Nope.
Well, so Fish Report Live has tied the show Hazel with episode number 154.
Looking to pass Hazel next week.
We'll be passing Hazel next week. Good stuff, as always, Heavy D. All right, Ken, well, let's get to something more important than Hazel, and that is baseball. And last night got a chance to catch the Arooshie Raiders hosting the Anna Rockets. Anna won a 6-4 game there. And before we talk about the Raiders, let's talk about Anna a little bit. They looked awfully good last night.
Yes, they did, Craig. The Rockets got a very good baseball team. Everybody knew they were going to be one of the powerhouses of the Shelby County League, along with Arooshie and Fort Loramie. They have not disappointed, Craig. I think they're sitting at 9-1 on the season. They're just getting Alex Brinkman, the star pitcher, into the flow of things. Craig, he pitched 5 innings last night. Very impressive. Had 10 strikeouts. Craig, but not only is it the pitching of Alex Brinkman and some of the other kids, they've got veteran Luke Albers, Kane Luthman. They've got a really nice catcher over there in a white. They got Frilling, Webker, Ensley. That's just to name a few. And they've got a lot of talent. So Raiders played them tough. Ended up getting beat 6-4, Craig. But, they're the real deal.
I think Anna's record is actually 8. I saw in the paper 8-1-1.
Yeah, they had a tie earlier in the year, Craig. I think it was called after 9 or 10 innings, and if I'm not mistaken, it was against Tri-County North, I think, who's got a pretty nice team as well.
All right, well, we mentioned the Arooshie Raiders, and our next guest is the head coach of the Raiders. Happy to have him live on the phone right now, Kevin Phlipot. Welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure, guys.
And well, listen, we were just talking about your game last night with the Anna Rockets, kind of a tough loss there, 6-4, and two of the better teams in the county. Wanted to know what you thought about your team's performance against maybe one of the best pitchers or the hardest throwers in the area.
Yeah, that Brinkman is definitely one of the hardest throws we'll see. This area doesn't get to see a fastball like that very often, especially at this level. So he's very impressive to watch. But, just as much as that, I was impressed with the way our guys we weren't intimidated by that, by his success. You know, we knew he was going to strike out. He's going to rack up his strikeouts. That's a given. But we battled. You know, it was unfortunate we gave up. We were down 5, but, you know, we fought through that. We were able to get 3 runs off of him. 1 inning, you know, we got the first 2 guys on. He seemed to start to overthrow. You know, fastballs up, curveballs in the dirt, and guys were just patient at the plate. We were able to get his pitch count up a lot, and, you know, inevitably that high pitch count, I think, got him out of the ball game, and we had our chances. We had tying runs on base, and fortunately we weren't able to come through with a big hit to change the outcome. But, you know, we have some positives to take away from that game, and we look forward to the opportunity of facing them again here shortly.
All right, well, I thought you went against them with 2 of your best pitchers, and Bryant McCarty and Jonah Counts, and two real good pitchers for you. They were good pitchers last year. How is your pitching staff this year, Coach?
That's the strong point of our team, that's for sure. Bryant has gotten a lot of the big innings, the big starts so far. We had to hold Jonah back a little bit, but he's 100% now, and he's going to get a big test against Versailles coming up on Friday. And these 2 guys are going to be battling for the top spot the rest of the way. But, you know, we have 6 losses, but in those 6 losses, you know, we've given up less than 4 runs a game. So our staff, our pitching is keeping us in ball games, you know, just hoping our offense will come around and get things rolling. You know, we got a mix of some seniors and some underclassmen as well. Hunter Cohey's got some league starts as a sophomore, and Daniel Kearns as a freshman's gotten a couple starts here. So our pitching staff's strong point of the season so far, and I think it'll be that way in the next coming years as well.
Coach, hi, this is Ken, and I know you had a lot of holes to fill from last year's team. You lost 8 good seniors. One of those spots was a catcher. It was kind of a questionable spot for the Raiders coming into the season. Have you settled in on someone behind the plate, and or is that still kind of a platoon situation?
Right now we're going for the platoon. You know, coming into the season, I thought we have Kevin Drees and Jared Gubo, and I kind of coming into the season, I was giving the nod to Kevin Drees because he offensively we expected a lot out of him offensively, and plus he had the better arm of the 2, and I thought, you know, just if he was able to block the ball well enough that he would be the man. And so far he's done that. He's done everything we expected. I mean, he's thrown out a share of base runners. You know, he threw out 2 big runners against St. Henry to help keep us in that game, and he's done well and done all that he asked. He's the type of kid who can shut down a running game before the game even starts, like in pregame, you know, during warm-ups. And but Jared Gubo has really stepped up as well for us. You know, he's a senior. He's worked hard the off season. A lot of guys are playing basketball. He was in the weight room. You know, his arm was lacking a little bit, but all that work in the weight room has really come along, and he's more natural, more fundamentally sound behind the plate, so I'm comfortable with him back here doing his thing as well, and his bat's come alive, so we're just kind of finding a way, platooning them. Both guys are getting playing time. Jared's DH in one game, and while Kevin's catching and vice versa, Kevin will be in the outfield or third base or well, so as of right now, I have 2 catchers, and I'm very proud of the way both of them have competed well.
Coach, that's a good problem to have. The only thing worse than having, it's a good problem to have 2 catchers versus no catchers. So I'll have to agree with you there.
Exactly.
Hey, this weekend you've got a big weekend coming up. You got Versailles on Friday. You got a doubleheader with Sydney on Saturday. You got the backyard rival Versailles. You going on them with their best lineup, and also I'm going to roll this into 2 questions here. You know, Coach, you mentioned you got 6 losses. I think because of the lack of games, because of the weather, I think we're sitting at 4-6, maybe 5-6. But tournament draw, hard to believe, is 10 days away.
Yes.
How important is it? In my opinion, very important. But, you know, right now you're looking at, you know, there's a lot of teams in our sectionals with some very good records. We're sitting a couple games under 500. What do the Raiders have to do?
Well, you just have to win more ball games. I mean, that's what the bottom line is. But, you know, we played a tougher schedule. Unfortunately, we've fallen short in some of those games. But, you know, no matter what your record is or no matter where you're at in the seedings, when the drawing comes, you still have to win ball games. So I feel that our scheduling will help us, even though, like I said, we haven't come through with the victories, but we've played solid opponents. That's going to prepare us down the road, prepare us for tournament time, and I truly believe that our better days are ahead of us.
I'll have to totally agree with that. Playing the tougher competition, Coach, definitely helps you down the road. When it comes tournament time, baseball's a funny sport. You've been around it long enough to realize that anybody can beat anybody, so regardless of your seed, you got to just be ready to play ball.
Exactly.
Hey, one other thing, off the topic, a little bit of baseball, but related. I've been your PA man for a couple years now,
Yeah.
and I took a demotion. I went to the JV team, and I want to just.
Years, I'm sure.
What's that?
I'll see you in next year.
I'm sure you will, yeah. But just checking in on my replacement, make sure everything's going all right.
Jeff's doing just fine. I think he's still getting his feet wet. He's a little underworked right now. We've only had 2 home games. We've started the season out at home, but then because of all this crazy weather, we've had cancellations. We've had 9 straight road games. So last night was our second home game. So I'm definitely looking forward to more home games and fewer bus rides.
All right, Coach. Hey, listen, one more question. We'll let you go, but wanted to get your opinion on our poll question tonight. We asked our viewers out there which longtime area coach they thought was the hardest to beat, and we gave them 4 choices, and those 4 choices were your old coach, I guess, of Bill Sturwald over there at Fort Laramie, the old head coach that you used to coach with, Brian Harlemer over there at Coldwater, Dave King at Lehman, and Mike Wiss over at Minster. I'm going to put you on the spot. Which one of those guys is the hardest to beat?
Well, you could debate that for a long time. There's no wrong choice there. There's a lot of wins, a lot of state titles. I mean, Harley at Coldwater represents D3 at Columbus a lot. They're one of the most consistent programs around. But I'm going to give a shout-out to the Shelby County and say Coach Sturwald. I'm proud to have coached with him for a while. I've been on the bench with him and seen a lot. And he's the type of coach just knows how to win ball games. He knows how to squeeze out a run. He knows how to, when the game plan goes awry, he knows how to draw the troops together and to get things back on track. I mean, I've seen him win games where he's been no hit and still won 2-0. I've seen him. He's won a ball game 1-0, and the only score was on a straight steal of home. No first and third, just runner on third, straight steal of home. So, in the end, I mean, it's about winning games, and his track record is very proven. So, I'm proud to have coached with him for a while, and God willing, I look forward to coaching against him for many more years.
Coach, that's a great answer to a question. I have to admit, I voted on the Fish Report, and he's the exact guy I voted for. But I will have to take my hat off to Coach Phlipot. You got him 2 out of 3 last year anyways, Coach. So you learned something well from him.
Yeah, so far so good, but there's many battles ahead of us, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Coach, best of luck this year. Thanks for being on our show. We hope for great weather so you can get a lot of baseball games over the next couple weeks, and good luck to the rest of the league and a good postseason tournament run.
Hey, thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was the head coach of the Russia Raiders, Kevin Phlipot, just in his 2nd year, and doing a good job over there, and he's going to get things rolling here eventually. It's just like you said with the weather and everything, just kind of hard to get baseball games in.
Yeah, it is, Craig. Like we mentioned earlier, he's coming off a great season last year. He lost some key players, and he's doing great. He's played a tough schedule, Craig. You look on who he's lost to this year, just some great teams, Arcanum twice, and Minster, Fort Laramie, Anna. That's 5 of the losses right there. Nobody's playing as good a schedule as that around other than maybe Coach Sturwald at Fort Laramie. He always challenges himself too. But that's how you get better. So, good luck to him the rest of the year.
All right, well, we're getting close to running out of time. We're going to have to go into extra innings here, I guess, because we want to go back to TK. I know he's got some news for us. TK, what do you have this week?
All right, I guess I'm the other news and facts for the day, so we'll kind of whip through what we got here. A couple of other things close to home. We want to look at Versailles announced just yesterday or this morning. They have hired Travis Swank, I believe no relationship to Hillary, but he will be their varsity boys basketball coach, the former Fairlawn Jet or Franklin Monroe Jet rather, and Wittenberg Tiger brings about 8 years of coaching experience, including 6 at Versailles as a JV coach. So he knows the kids, they know him, so that shouldn't be a hard transition. It's just bringing his ideas and his program into Versailles there. And then talk a little bit about signing. It seems every day there's 3 or 4 kids signing. It's that time of the year for the second signing and commitment to collegiate athletics. So our own Caleb Ball signed to run down at Athens at OU. An interesting one we just heard the other day, Paige Jones from New Bremen verbally committing to play volleyball at Michigan, the University of Michigan, which is a big step. So congratulations to her as well and all those other athletes. Just want to touch on one that I learned about the other day. This kind of goes back about 4 or 5 years, I guess. A girl named Dean Stewart, who some of you may remember because last week she won her 4th NCAA Women's Basketball Championship at UConn.
Absolutely.
Probably, arguably the best women's basketball players in NCAA history. Here she is signing her letter of intent to play for the UConn basketball team on the front of her dad's pickup truck. So that is a girl that I think was committed to a long-term future vision. Nothing wrong with what the kids are doing in their schools, and I congratulate all of them for their hard work and dedication, but that girl had a vision that probably not too many people had as she's got the paperwork done and was focused on something bigger and better.
Great stuff, TK. And I do want to mention an interesting fact. You mentioned Caleb Ball signing there with Ohio University. He is the 3rd member of that small class of Rushi's class of 2016 to sign a Division I letter, and he joins Lauren Heaton, who is signed to run at Navy, and then a girl that I know you know very well, and that's because she's your daughter, Molly Kearns, who signed to run at Wright State. So 3 kids in that class signing Division I letters of intent. Pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive. Congratulations to all 3. Congratulations to their coaching staff, Coach Foster, Coach Heaton, and Coach Schaefer as well.
Good stuff there. And one more thing to get to, the guys, before we close things out, and that is our poll question tonight. Ken, why don't you read that real quick, and TK can check on the results.
Our viewers tonight, which longtime area baseball coach is the hardest to beat? Is it Coach Sturwald from Loramie, Coach Harlemert at Coldwater, Coach King at Lehman, or Coach Mike Wiss at Minster? TK, what's the telemetrics saying?
Telemetrics say it's a split, 40% for each of Coach Harlemert and Coach King. Split the votes at 40%, and then Coach Sturwald gets the balance of the 20% there. So
you should have voted harder, Ken.
That's an interesting result right
John
there.
John Kasich got 5%.
Well,
so that was kind of an interesting outcome.
I'm not going to disagree with I guess I will disagree with our viewers tonight, Craig, and Coach Harlem. They're all great coaches, but Coach Sturwald's a great coach. They're all good coaches.
That's why we put the poll question
That's
out
right.
there, see what our viewers think. All right, going to wrap things up tonight. Want to say special thanks to our guests tonight, Coach Dean Stewart from over there at Anna and Coach Phlipot from Rushi. Ken and I and the crew, we're all going to be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fishing pond. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole when you tune in to the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond.